Are comeback mechanics necessary? So we hear a lot of people, have issues with, you've been bodying somebody a whole match. I mean, they're basically just, I mean, it's a free wash basically, just a straight up free match. And then next thing you know, they pull out of, well, not out of nowhere, but they just pull out of their repertoire a comeback mechanic that just steals the match back from you. As Cool Kid told us, V Trigger 5 is what he calls Street Fighter. And there are plenty of other games that have comeback mechanics in them, to where they try to make them for, I don't know if they necessarily made them for like new coming players and stuff like that, to just feel like they'll have something to even out the odds for getting bodied and stuff like that. But a lot of people have problems with them. Hey, if you're just getting, because back in like older games, I think Devin said this once before on the show, like supers were really started being introduced in fighting games because of Street Fighter. Like if you look at old MK games, they didn't have supers. You had the fatalities, but they didn't have like supers or comeback mechanics mid-match. Tekken didn't have that. Soul Calibur didn't have that, but now they have these things. Street Fighter was the one that kind of paved the way for that. So how do you guys feel about comeback mechanics? Do you feel like they should be implemented in games? Do you feel like they're unnecessary? Starting off with you, Devin.
I think comeback mechanics are interesting. I'm always down for seeing like what type of new mechanic a fighting game can bring to the table. I don't know if they're necessarily needed. No matter if I'm gonna say they're not needed. But in the day and age that we're in, they bring like the back and forth and the excitement. Take for example NBA Street Game Breakers. Game Breakers could get you like 3 to 5 points, and they were flashing. He's like, "Oh, this man, he barrel rolled off this dude's head, and he did a moonwalk on this guy's ears, and then jumped off of his nose, and he did a backflip off the rim, and he dunked it, and he got 10 points for it." It's like that high octane, like crazy in your face move, which can turn the tide of the match, is what people want to see. I feel like even if it's like a actual match or event or something like that, somebody comes down. I kind of relate it to like a 3-pointer. You get somebody like Steph Curry come down and he hit a 3-pointer from like half court, which is, everybody can hit 3-pointers, but it's almost like to him it's like a special ability. It's like, oh, I got my V trigger 3-pointers from like half court. So now he's turned the tide of the game literally just from this 3-pointer. They could have been down. It could have been a buzzer beater. He's like, well, V trigger game. So I feel like it can be implemented in a certain way. Like Street Fighter 4, for example. Street Fighter 4 has supers, which you got super from getting hit and hitting, right? They introduced the ultras though. The ultras you only gain ultra by getting hit. So it's like they're giving you an opportunity to get this big blast of damage in from taking damage. If you get the hit, that is, or if you're a laner, you just get your health back. You can do that. But yeah, I don't think they're needed, but it's just the sight of it. It's just like that. Always something flashy for the players to see. Even for I think for casual people, it's more so not the fact that it's going to give them an equal playing field, because it looks cool. And I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of time with video games, you need things that look cool to get people to buy them. And outside of the hardcore people that just like they want to learn the game, the mechanics, the people that are not into it as hardcore, they want to see something cool. So I think from this point on, supers and stuff like this, combat mechanics are going to be something that are going to be in fighting games forever. Because like Octavian just said, when I mentioned about like most games didn't have them, DOA didn't have a super. Now they have, I forgot what it's called, like a blowback or something like that. So just about every fighting game now has some type of super comeback-esque mechanic. And I don't think it's going to go away anytime soon. And I feel like every new fighting game that comes out is going to have the same thing. They're going to follow the same criteria, the same pattern. And again, like I said, it's just because it's cool. It's not because necessarily, oh, well, this gives you the upper hand. It might have that in a sense, but it's because it looks cool. You get people on the big stage. Let's say we got people, I don't know, in the State Farm Arena Center watching this game. If you got just somebody playing footsies and just fundamental fighting, they gonna be like, oh, this is boring. I don't want to go to sleep. But you see somebody, they start sparkling red and drinking Kool-Aid and like powering up. They're like, oh snap, what's going on? Like it's about to get lit in here.
Yeah, it's like
That
watching
brings
boxing without the knockouts.
exactly. It brings more excitement. So like to me, like to somebody like me, I love watching footsies. I love watching people vie for space and try to, make the right decisions. To me, that's hype. But for most of the average person, like, what are they doing? Why are they moving in such a manner? Why are they not doing anything? There's nobody's throwing out a button. It's like because they're mentally playing, but they don't see that. So they need to see the visual. They need to see, oh, that dude fist turned to fire and he punched that man and his head flew across the screen. That's what they need to see. So that's how you get sales as well. So I don't think we need them, but they're not going nowhere.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree. Like, like they're definitely not going anywhere. And personally, I actually despise comeback mechanics. Specifically in two situations. One, I don't like the rage arts in Tekken 7. Never have. I'm not even sure, even right now, as I say this to you, that I'm too approving of the whole rage system in the first place. It's like, oh man, I'm getting beaten up. Oh, now I'm so mad, and now my damage goes up and everything because I'm about to lose. It's like, oh man, come on, dude. Did we really need this? Not really. It's not like even in like Soul Calibur 6, they have the guts system, where like if your health goes below that little line at the end, you take a little bit less damage from moves and stuff like that. It's like, oh, okay, well, I guess, but did we need that? Not really. But like Devin was saying, it's real flashy. Some of that stuff is real flashy. Rage arts are really pretty to look at. I mean, at the very least, can we take rage arts out the game and just use rage drives? Like, why is that in the game? It's like it's a move that you didn't even have to work for. You just got beaten up the whole match. And then at the end, somebody throws a punch at you, and then you go, oh, you know what? Now I'm armored and I take less damage. And so that little jab you did, now you're getting punished for it. Now you just lost like half your health or something like that. Sometimes, depending on whether or not it's a counter, it can do more damage, and you end up losing a truckload of health just because you threw out a jab at somebody who was ready, who was playing and I was like, kids. No, man, I hate it. And the ultras from Street Fighter 4, say what you want about Street Fighter 5. At least you have to gain like a V trigger. You can gain V trigger from using like your unique skill. Like you can gain the gauge from using unique skills and stuff like that. Like you can gain it from that. In Street Fighter 4, the only way you got ultra is by getting your butt kicked. That's the only way you got it. And then at the end, it's like, oh well, who's gonna use their ultra? Oh, like the announcer, what'll happen now? I'm like, you know what's gonna happen now, man? Somebody's gonna use their ultra. Like they always do. Why you sound like, oh, I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm like, you know what's gonna happen. They both got full ultra. Now it's like, who's gonna use their ultra first? And then stuff like, and then you ever see like, when somebody gets their ultra, about to have the ultra done, and then I'm like, oh, about to get messed up.
I actually missed that. That's one thing about Street Fighter 4 I did like. That was dope. They need to bring that back.
Oh, people's eyes got all big.
Yeah, Blanca had the best one, even though he shouldn't exist, but he was pretty cool. Just go back and look at Blanca's face when he's ultra activated. He's like, I am about to take damage.
Oh man. I remember I didn't even notice that was a thing until like, when you're kind of like watching somebody else play, you see someone, they got the jaw, like their jaw just hit the floor, like, oh no. Yeah. But you know what? All that fun, all that hilarity is still not worth having that ridiculous comeback mechanic in the game. So, yeah, I would say like, yeah, comeback mechanics are probably going to be part of fighting games for a while, but they are not necessary, and they just irritate me. They just really irritate me. I'm like, why am I getting punished for somebody like I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm beating you. I'm winning the match. Why do I get like, oh, now I got my ultra? I'm like, oh, come on, man. if you got the magic pixel and I get hit with an ultra, I lose. Come on, man, that's ridiculous. That happened to me so many times. I'm like, oh man, I kick you in the face. Oh, what? You're not dead? And then all of a sudden they get a lucky hit with an ultra, and now I lose the match. And it's like, oh, okay. I guess I get. Well, I guess I deserved it because I didn't block the ultra, you know. Or in Tekken 7, oh, I guess I deserve to lose because I got hit with the rage art. I remember like that was one of the things that people used to say in like YouTube comments. Well, if you weren't mashing the whole time, I'm like, you know what, man? Maybe you're right. Maybe I shouldn't have been mashing. But you know what? I figure at some point, I should be able to hit somebody and not be afraid that they're just gonna blow me up with like the ultimate move, like you know what I mean, like the Satsui no Hado from nowhere, just because I'm beating you the whole match. I'm beating you now. You are still losing. You are still technically losing, and I'm at any point in time, if I do the wrong move, you can win the match. Come on, man, that's ridiculous. Then again, I had that one clip where I was losing the whole match as Astaroth, and I grabbed my buddy and I just threw him off the stage and I won the match. So, but you know what? I could have done that the whole match. I could have done that at any point in the match. I didn't need him to beat me up to be able to throw him out of the ring. So never mind, forget it. Yeah, man. No comeback mechanics. Get them out of here. I'd be much happier when they're gone. Let's get back to the olden days. I know it's not as flashy, but at least you don't have to be guarding against a move that somebody gets because you're winning the match. I mean, you might not be winning by a whole lot, but you are still winning. I mean, whether you win by an inch or a mile, it doesn't matter. You're still winning. So, yeah, man, I would say comeback mechanics are not necessary. They really aren't. And sometimes I forget they're in the game. I don't know if that's necessarily subconsciously or through my own like mental gymnastics, but I forget that they're in the game. So just take them out, man.
It's a lot of thoughts that come into mind when this question is asked. Like, the biggest thing that hops out in front of me is it fair? There's a lot of things in games to where you can end up losing a lot of damage. Like, for example, like stun, in certain games, if you just keep getting beat to sleep like constantly and you're not doing anything to like stop yourself from getting train wrecked, like eventually you get hit with stun. So it's like, okay, I can understand that. I've been sitting here just like taking damage, didn't do nothing, didn't take a risk, did nothing. Like, okay, I get it. There's other games where if you block so much, your guard breaks and then you leave yourself open in. It's like, okay, I get it. I blocked a lot and stuff like that. Whiff punishes. Like, okay, I threw that out. He countered me with a heavy, some big damage is finna come. Okay, I get it. Like, I understand. But with Ultra, with comeback mechanics, it's just like, is that fair? Like, I've deboed this dude the whole match. I did what I was supposed to do. And then next thing you know, he gets lucky and he throws out a whip. I whiff something, and then next thing you know, I get hit with an ultra, and the match is over. Is that fair? Like, I would have understood if like I whiff something and then he hits me with a combo, but this happened to me because I beat him up, and we're playing a fighting game. Like, no, so so it's like you just think like, is that fair? Is it really fair? And it's like, it's hard to say that's fair because, it's like, this happened to me because I beat him up, not because, I did something wrong. I blocked too much. I let him like train wreck me the whole match. I was the one doing the train wrecking. Like, this is what you made the game for. This is why you're here. This is what you came to see.
Exactly.
And it's like, I'm finna lose because I did my job. It's like being at work and you're not just because you got employee of the month, the next day they're like, you know what, man, you fired. Like you just did you did so great last month, man. You're fired. Like, it just makes you think like that. So, but also at the same time, you have to think like, they are flashy. They will help them sell their games. That will get new people in the door and stuff like that. and get people interested and bring more stuff to your scene so you get it. But also, I think at the same time, like, you know, a lot of times when you're watching, like, let's just say it's two players who are like, you know, the highest level, like two high level players, and they're coming back and forth. They're fighting back and forth, is going and stuff like that. Sometimes it is great to just know that they have like something, you know, up their sleeve that they can do to, like, you know, because a lot of times we see a lot of pro players, they'll be down and losing, and then they'll have this tool in their repertoire that they can use now, and they know how they use it efficiently to come back and take the match and stuff like that. You're just like, man, that's like, I can see how he did that to earn that. Like, that was pretty dope. He used that in a great way. But a lot of other times it's just like, man, this dude just like got his little, you know, 5 hits on me within the match, got a raging demon off, and now I'm dead. You know, it's so, or especially if you got hit with like a Zangief special, like, so, like, just like absurd dumb damage. So, you know, that's my take on it. Like, it just makes me like, is this really fair? Is it fair? But I mean, you know, it's like Devin said, it's gonna be in the game. You know, you couldn't go back now. Like Street Fighter without specials, you know, it's just, you can't go back now. And a lot of people have already boarded their train, like we said, other games. So there's no going back now. So